Jen, it is so good to finally have you on the Fantasy Grimoire podcast with us. Thank you for joining.
Oh my gosh, thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
I was actually trying to figure out how we knew each other, and I don't know. I'm just like, you've always been there, and that is as far as I'm concerned. Like, do you have a different memory?
No, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I'm pretty sure you were one of my very first followers when I only had like 20 followers. I'm pretty sure you were one of the very first authors that I followed and just started talking to because when you're starting out, you're trying to engage people in conversation, and you were so kind and so sweet. And I just loved you ever since.
That's why I'm so glad to have you here today, because you were one of those no-brainers for me. It took a little bit of scheduling on my side to work it out, but we got here, and that is the most important part.
Yes.
I do want to chat a little bit about some controversy that we're seeing on Book Talk today. Now, at the time of recording this episode, it is like hot off the press. We're seeing that Ali Hazelwood, I think she's proper traditional. She's not like a hybrid author. She has basically been run off Bookstagram. I mean, I just saw it before we joined on for this. So, do you want to give us like a recap of what you've seen happen? What is your understanding of the situation?
So my understanding is that she just said that she liked Gale over Peta in the Suzanne Collins Hunger Game trilogy, and readers flipped out over it. And she was just, I think it was like the straw that broke the camel's back, and she deleted her accounts. And I have so many thoughts on this, just as a reader, like not as an author, but just as a flat out reader.
Yeah.
You were like, you got to check yourself if you are freaking out over someone because she has a character that she likes more than the other, because that's why we're here. We're here because we love these differences on people. And why, like, the better question is, instead of harping on her about it, just say, what makes you like Gail over Peta? Ask questions.
Part of the strapline of my podcast is hot takes.
Yes.
There's a reason for that. When I started creating this podcast, I was getting so sick and tired of authors not feeling like they could have an honest conversation where you and I can have different opinions as long as we discuss it in a respectful manner. Like, that's okay. Ali Hazelwood she's like an OG. She's been around forever. She's produced so many hits. I know she dabbles in the romance side as well. She's not just in the fantasy side. This is a seasoned author, and if we're pushing her to this point, you're right. We do need to check ourselves as readers, because, well, what books are we going to read if we keep doing this to our favorite authors? We do need to do better. And I'm seeing a lot of influencers on my feed now are also starting to take a stance about it.
Well, it's interesting because I've had really good friends that are readers, and their controversial opinions on books and things are what makes them popular. It's what gains them followers. It's all of the things. But as authors, it's almost like we're not allowed to have a strong opinion or say something controversial because it will hurt our business. People will purposefully read our books and leave trash reviews, or maybe they don't even read them, but they'll trash our books, and that hurts our business. And so we're in a really precarious position where we have opinions and we love to put people in our place, but we have to bite our tongues, because ultimately you're providing a service, which is your book, and for people's enjoyment. And ultimately, I feel like on my author page, I try to avoid those situations, because my book's for everybody. It's for the liberal, it's for the conservative, it's for anybody in between. And the fact that, and that's probably one of my favorite authors, is Maggie Stiefvater. And she is so good at not talking politics. She puts a funny spin on some random thing, and everyone enjoys it because it's not politics. Because I feel like people in the author community and the reader community, like just this weekend, everyone had the crossed out Zero Kings sign. And if I agree with it or not, my personality is I'm going to buck whatever everyone else is doing. That's just not my personality.
Like, there's no rule book on how to do this. You've just sometimes got to take each situation and approach it as best as you can. And sometimes you get it wrong. We do. Yeah. We really do.
Yes.
But Jen, I do want to bring it back a little bit to your Veiled God series. You
Okay.
kind of touched on who your ideal reader is already, but I want to spend a little bit of time talking about. I've heard it come to Pirates of the Caribbean. You have two books. It's a three-part. It's a trilogy.
Yep, it will be a trilogy. The third book is being written right now and will come out hopefully later this year. I got to get myself in gear. Summer is when I play with my kids, and so it's hard to sit down and get in that writer mode. The first book's called Veiled Voyage, and it has on the cover it has a ship's helm with swords in it. And it's funny because everyone's like, it's a pirate book, and I'm like, it's actually not a pirate book. It's just the way that they get across the sea, but on this ship. So the premise is there's a guard who sacrifices herself for her prince, to kind of get him out of Dodge into some trouble when they go to a neighboring country, and he kind of does some shenanigans she wasn't aware of. So as punishment, she enters a 5-year mercenary contract, and she has to go across the ocean to another continent. And on the ship, every day she has to fight to survive. It's they get trained, they get in a cage 1-on-1, and it's battle to the death. So she has to ally herself with her enemy, because where they keep them in the night is in the hold, and her enemy is chained up because he's extremely deadly. And really, he's the only one standing between her and all of these people. But you have some really fun dynamics and some really fun scenes in there where it might be flipped on its head. And so it's not quite Pirates of the Caribbean. There is fantastical elements. There are pirates in there, but we see them for a short scene and then it goes on. But we'll be revisiting these characters in book 3. So it's such a fun journey. So by the end of book 1, she gets to the continent where she needs to go. Book 2 is about her journey on the continent, and book 3 is I can't give away too much, but she's back on the ocean and she's like not happy about life.
So I'm hearing a lot of action, a lot of adventure, a lot of, I almost want to say, strong female representation.
Yes.
Am I hearing correctly with your tropes?
Yeah. And so Alana, my main character, she's an introvert. She's really quiet. And that's really hard to do because I feel like so many readers love the characters that are just like snarky and have like a quip and stuff. And she has those and she throws them out there, but she does it really subtly. And she has a very dry sense of humor. And what I really like about her is when she feels like her back's up against the wall, she's gonna come out swinging. And people underestimate her because she is quiet. And I feel like that's a lot of introvert. I'm an extrovert, but I love my introvert friends, and my husband's an introvert, and I'm so drawn to them because they're quiet, because they're thoughtful. They see things that we don't, or us extroverts don't. So I really wanted to have a character who was different than me in that regard and have all those great qualities that introverts do.
And this is something I'm seeing discussed by readers a lot, is that they're kind of tired of seeing the same representation of strength over and over again. And I really like that you've highlighted the difference, because don't get me wrong, I write these kick-ass female main characters that you're talking about. And I love it because those are the kind of characters that I want to read and that I have fun writing. But it is not everyone's cup of tea. So I love that you're highlighting there is such a difference in your FMC. As a follow-up to that, though, and I feel like you kind of touched on this, though, with your cover, what's one detail in your world that most readers might overlook but you're secretly proud of?
Ooh, so I actually personally love politics. So, and I love the world. I actually love global politics more than domestic. But one thing that I really wanted to represent is because I love the different cultures all around the world. And so in my book, I thought it would be so fun to mash up all of the cultures based on the environment that they're in. So if they're in like a safari plains, so I mashed up like Native Americans and Africans and Aborigines and like the jungle. So, Polynesians, Asians, and like, so I just try to like mash it up where I could. And the jungle one's coming later, but like but I'm trying to do that subtly to where, it's just a little bit different. Because I feel like it's the same. It's the cliche. I feel like everyone again, they get tired of seeing something. And I
Yeah.
haven't seen anything like this before. So I kind of thought it would be really unique to do that.
So you're a mom, right? And you have four kids, if I remember
I
correctly.
have three.
Three,
It
okay.
feels
I
like
don't know.
four, but it's three.
So a lot of the authors that I know and that I speak to are mothers as well, and they're balancing the family life and the challenges that come with not just being a mother and a wife, but a full-time career outside of being an author. How do you do it?
So this is something, it was actually easier for me to write and have more time writing when my kids were younger. And it's interesting, they required more physical interaction, and but you had downtime. You had when they'd go to naps or when they'd play at a friend's, and I would just sit and write and write and write on my downtime, or I would write while they were in front of me playing so I could still interact with them.
Yeah.
So now as my kids are older, I decided to get a job to help pay for my self-publishing. And it's just part-time, but it's still like that's 4 hours a day or less is still like a big chunk of time from your day that's gone. And even though your kids are in school, you're more busy the older your kids get. I do not know why this happens, but you're chauffeuring them around. You're in your car more. You're dealing with big problems that these kids they're encountering at school, and your workload shifts from like a physical workload from when they're little
Yeah.
to emotional and mental and your problem solving. So
Yeah.
it's just a different sort of hard. You're just kind of switching that, and that takes up more mental space. So I find I have to really kind of like dedicate like writing time and stick to it and get writing. And I honestly need to put my phone across the room because I get on Instagram and I'm like scrolling and I'm like, I just wasted 2 hours. What am I doing?
Sometimes I'll be like, I'm sitting down. This is writing time. Like my husband says to me once, "Oh, why don't you come sit on the couch and while he's playing games or whatever, I can write." And I'm like, babe, I'm not going to write on the couch. That's chill space. Like I have to be sitting at my desk
Yeah.
in the office because then I know I have to write. And I'm like, let me just see what's happening on Instagram. 2 hours later, zero writing has commenced.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel you on that one.
I've gotten about maybe 5,000 words since like May to now. And I'm like, that's nothing. I should have had that in a day. So, but part of it was just revising, but still like I'm to the point where I'm like writing fresh material, and it's so fun.
You are the only sister amongst brothers. And they were part of what inspired your love for this action adventure route that we're taking in your fantasy books. What's the one thing about each of your brothers that you take into your writing?
My brothers are all very unique, and they're not only unique in looks, because two of them are dark haired, brown eyed. They're like me, they're more Italian.
Yeah.
And two are blonde haired, blue eyed, fair skinned. They're more like the German side of the family, Norwegian too. And so my oldest brother is a bit of a black sheep, but he's like such a avid outdoorsman, and he could just honestly, I'm like, he should have been a national park ranger, because that would have been his dream job. He is someone that I feel like he kind of bucks the system, and so he reminds me a little bit of Nash in him. My second oldest brother is military. He's in the Air National Guard, and he's done that for years. He's been deployed to Afghanistan several times. But he and my baby brother, Sam, who passed away in February, Sam was a Marine, and those are my two blonde haired, blue eyed brothers. And they're both in military. And so Calix was actually a little bit based on them on the military side, on the protecting people side. Like their heart is a really good heart, and they're driven to protect their people. And so Calix was a little inspired by them. And my brother Seth is a really quiet introvert, and Canary, he doesn't really speak a lot, and there's a reason for that. But Canary is a little bit like my brother Seth in that. But when he has something to say, it's worth listening to.
So do any of your brothers know this, or is this the first time you've ever admitted it?
I don't think I've ever talked to them about it. I know Sam and Seth were waiting for the audiobook to come out because they're like, we don't read, but we will listen. We will listen to your books. And so, but my other brother, David, he supports. And then my oldest brother, Eric's just kind of like, he's so hippy dippy. I don't know. I think he thinks it's awesome that I've written a book, but I don't know if he'll read it. And that's okay, Well, it was funny because in a lot of the fighting, I would ask my brother Sam, because in the Marines, they have to do hand to hand and you have to be really good at it. And I would kind of talk to him about it. And he had really unique insight, and he's like, you have to be trained to kill people, and this is how you do it. And he said, if you are small like a woman, this is how you have to do it quick. If you don't do it quick, you are going to be out, like you're gonna die. And this is one thing that I feel like is a very hot take, especially right now in the political world. But men are genetically built different, and they are built stronger and faster, and it's just the reality of it. And so I feel like is to compete with that. And I bring up that fact in my book. But what I do is she has speed. Like she has like an unnatural, it's not necessarily unnatural, but she has a gift of speed. So she's fast. She might not be as strong, but she is fast. And so she uses that to her advantage.
We kind of already kicked off with some hot takes, but I do want to ask, are there any other hot takes that you want to discuss today?
Yeah, I feel like, and this is something, again, it goes with we're in the book space, right? So I feel like it's where if a reader is going to leave a review that's like blatantly a lie or just extremely negative, I personally feel like it would be okay for the author to say, that's not true. And I've had friends where they've said, you're plagiarizing Sarah J. Maas, or you're plagiarizing this character. And it's so frustrating for authors because they're like, I am getting the basis for my character from the same place that Sarah J. Maas got the basis for hers, which is history. And so accusing someone of plagiarism because they have the same name or they have the same traits is something that I feel like is extremely, I mean, we're in a creative space. I was in a class one time and there was probably like 100 people in the class, and the author gave a 1-sentence starter, and she's like, write a story based on that. Every single one of us came up with something different, but it was based on the same story. And that's just the way art is. So you could take one character and go about it any other different ways. We started out as readers. None of us just jumped into authorship. Like we had to read first, and we all have opinions on it. But if a reader is going to be nasty and cruel and say something that is just out of line, I feel like an author absolutely has every right to clap back or say, no, this isn't right. This isn't true. And use it for public fodder. Like use it for reels. If you're trolling, you can be trolled back. So because I'm like of the opinion, treat everybody how you want to be treated.
This is something that I touch on quite a bit in season 1 of the podcast, is that not every book is for every reader, and that's okay. It's where I also personally draw the line is at cruelty. I don't really read my reviews too much anymore. Like sometimes I'll, just pop my head in and see what's going on. But now I send my editor in to go read before she goes and edits the work, just so we can see, because she knows what kind of feedback that. So if I were to listen to every single review that was posted, A, this book would not exist, B, the plot would not make 0 sense, and C, you literally cannot please everyone.
Yeah, you can't. So, and that's why a lot of authors don't want to fan the flames by saying anything else outside of their book. They don't want to talk about their personal viewpoints on anything and everything, because they're like, let's just let that be the space where they focus only on my book and not me as a person.
I was having a chat to one of my close friends, and I said to her, I'm like, I get that some people put cancer survivor in their bio, and good for them. I am not making cancer my whole personality. The amount of cancer stuff I get tagged in, and I was like, guys, this is my author page. I want the escapism.
That's kind of how I feel about pretty much anything and everything in my life. You know,
Yeah,
I am who I am based on all of these things. One
yeah,
of them is not the reason. In fact, when I was younger, I was so focused on trauma that had happened to me when I was younger. That was like all I would talk about.
yeah,
And so many people were like turned off by it, like move on. You know, you
yeah,
had, and it wasn't until like I did go to therapy where my therapist is like, why are you apologizing all the time? You're saying
yeah,
sorry like every, left and right. And it was because it kind of had like that victim mentality. It's like, get out of that victim mentality. Find some joy in your life. Find friends that are not obsessing over this, that's not the only conversation that they have time
so
after time after time. Like, get out of that, break the cycle, go learn how to ride a bike, go for a walk in the park, go to the gym, go watch movies, like go out and live life, but don't make one thing, like you said, cancer or whatever, like my
yeah,
brother passing away.
yeah,
That is a huge thing. That's trauma that I will have. And I didn't realize like how traumatic it would be until you go through it. I've had friends that their siblings have passed away. And when it happened, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I moved on with my day.
yeah,
And having gone through it, like you're you're kind of like mentally fucked up
yeah,
for a bit. You just are. And it's because it's a major loss and it's someone that you expected to go through life with is not there anymore. And someone that you talk to every day is not there anymore. And it's such a huge shift in everything. And so but again, that's something that's sad and it's happened. And I will always love my brother and I'll always support his girls, things like that. But it's not the only thing in my life. I'm
yeah.
not going to get stuck in it. Namely, my
Right.
friend Kim had terminal cancer
Mhm.
and the longest, the life expectancy was 18 months. And
Yeah.
she ended up living with it for 6 years because
Oh,
she went really radical, where she went organic, everything. She ate
yeah.
no sugar.
Yeah.
And she just but she researched and she researched. It was kind of like a very rare percentage of the population
Yeah.
has this cancer. But I
Yeah.
remember she would love to hang out and visit with me. And I would
Yeah.
always like, how are you doing? Like, what are you guys doing this weekend? And I would just talk and, because I would watch her daughter a lot because our two daughters are the same age. And so I
Yeah.
would watch her daughter when she would, do all the surgeries, do all the treatments, all of that.
Yeah.
And I would always just be like, oh, you know what, just talking to her about life in general. And every single time that she would leave, I would think, oh my gosh, I didn't even ask her about her cancer. And she told me later, she goes, I hate talking about my cancer. She ended up, she did a platform on Instagram. She got like 100,000 followers because she did talk about her journey and what she did because she realized there's value in that. But the one-on-one, like
Yeah.
she's like, I don't want to talk about it because I already talk about it on my platform. Like I don't want to revisit it with people. And it was
Totally
funny.
agree.
She's like, I love coming and hanging out with you because like we talk about all the hot topics. Like we talk about all the things but cancer. So
Yeah.
it's but that's just, and it's mostly just because my brain is not like, I see the person immediately in front of me and I'm like, how are you doing? But like, it's not until they leave that I'm like, oh yeah, they had this big major thing in their life and I didn't even ask about it. And I feel
Yes. So I can confirm that that is a very true thing. Most people that I maybe haven't seen for a longer period of time, it's all they want to talk about. And I'm like, okay, first 10 minutes, ask your questions, get it off your chest.
yeah.
But then, like I can see them staring, and then I call it, they activate the sympathy voice. I wanted to bring it back to you for a second.
Like,
So Jen, we've spoken a little bit about the Veiled God series. Is this your only series you have in the works, or is there something else hiding in the pipeline that you can tell us about?
okay, so after book 3, and it's hard to write book 3 because my brain's almost like it's like ready to move on. I
Yeah,
have so it's a mafia contemporary romance, and it's already mostly written. I've got to go back and tweak it because it's been years since I've written it. But every time I go back to revisit it, I am laughing out loud because I'm like, I don't know who this character is, but boy, she is funny. And she's got just such a funny, like, take on things that happen to her. And it is just, she's, oh my gosh, her name is Nyx. But again, Sarah J. Maas ruined that for me. I wrote it before stinking any of those series came out, but so I have to re-up a name, or maybe I could keep it the same. I don't know. I feel like her name's Nicole, so people would call her Nyx. Is like, but
I love the name Nyx though. So I don't know. I would put an argument to keep it. I'm just gonna put that out there.
okay, maybe I will, because I mean, it's just like it fits her personality. Like she's so fun, and she's, oh my god, it's been a minute since I've gone back, but the premise is she's kind of trying to run to get away from the mafia from her uncle. And she's almost like a Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
She's famous for no reason other than like
being
trying on clothes went viral, and now everyone kind of wants her to be the model, but her uncle's using her to like launder money for his mafia business. And so she escapes that and she goes to Texas, and just like totally random. So she's like, oh great, there's no mafia in Texas, but who does she? What else is going to happen in this book? She lands in with some mafia fellas, and it's fun. It's just fun. And so I'm trying. I think I might actually have to break the book apart and do two. Because right now it was like her and her sister, and her sister's a doctor in Boston, and it's just so fun. Like it's just a fun book. So I need to probably have you read it and tell me where to go with it. So
that's actually one of the reasons why I release series the way I do. I know a lot of authors tend to release an entire series before they move on to the next one. I hop between series. So like I'm writing book 2 in my series right now, which I'll release, and that's fine. But then I'm starting a new series before I go back and write book 3. And a big reason why I do that, obviously, the characters are shouting and demanding, like that's a big one. But at the same time, sometimes I just need a break from that world. And I call it a palate cleanser, because what I find after I've had that break is that I'm actually excited to come back to the characters, and I'm feeling okay, cool. The story, like it's exciting me again. Where after a while, it does become monotonous. And you need a break from it, and you just need something fun to spice it up.
I love that you say that, because in just writing it, because I wrote for 8 years and learned as much as I could about craft and story and all of that before publishing. Because when I published, I wanted it to be something that was just enjoyable and it wasn't just garbage. Of course, you freak out about it. But when I was writing, I would jump between books and I would have multiple books that I'd be working on. And again, it was, like you said, it was a palate cleanser. So but I was thinking like, hurry and get all the books published, but maybe I'll have to do that. Maybe I'll just have to hurry and throw my mafia romance book to my editor and just say, get going on this one while I write book 3. But book 3 is like almost done. And I'm like, I kind of have that mentality. Like once you get started, just hurry and get it done. Like just get it done. So, but after this one, I have another fantasy series. I have 2 books completely written start to finish. And I've got to get started on the 3rd, but that one is fun. It has werewolves, it has dragons. It's fun. So
okay, so what I'm hearing is you have big plans. So we have another thing in common where the running joke that I have is that I have enough book ideas to keep me busy until 2030. Okay, that was last time I checked. I've since added new ideas to the pot, by the way. So I'm kind of seeing some similarities between us there. But honestly, for your mafia, call it standalone, do you do dev edits?
Did you say Devits?
Dev edits.
Oh,
like
yeah. I was like, Devits? Is that slang? Sorry. You know what? Oh, that's a good question. I think I need to do that. I think I need to go to someone and just say.
This is only the 2nd book that I've done dev edits with, because it is a little bit of an investment. Like it is. I don't want to shy away from that. And before I couldn't Like that's the reality. But now that I've seen how well it works for me, now keep in mind, I like to do things differently. So where I think you also edit with Kate, don't you?
Yes, I love
Okay.
Kate.
So yeah, I said to her she's not allowed to leave me ever. So she usually provides a report of dev edits. And I said to her, I don't want a fucking report. I was like, put the comment in the chapter where it's applicable. I was like, what was I going to do? Look at a report and then figure out where it goes and whatnot. I wanted in
Just
the
in the
paragraph
yes.
where it's applicable. And so she's changed her process for me, like specifically,
Yeah.
but like she does it differently for everyone else. Um, and now that I've seen the type of questions that come from it and what it sparks for me inspiration wise, and even now, like I'm in the final stage of edits for the book, right? But I'm like, okay, wait, Kate said this developmentally. I'm addressing it here. So like it lives with me. So yes,
Yeah.
it's an investment, but it's so worth it for me. Like I would
Oh, yeah.
recommend edits to anyone, really.
She's fantastic. I have a friend that's trying to get, she says, I'm just trying to get some street cred because she and her sisters and mom are going to do their own publishing company. So
Yeah,
she's editing book one for me, just for fun.
yeah,
And so it's interesting, like they, all the editors have like the same feedback, which is so nice. You know, you
yeah,
can move this up here to make it
yeah,
more applicable, but
yeah,
I'm like, but aren't you supposed to tease it and then have a reveal? Like,
yeah,
because I think my very first draft, I had it at the very beginning, and someone, I think a seasoned beta reader or someone, they're like, no, tease it out a little bit more, like draw people in. So, but you just
yeah,
never know. Again, it's every reader's different, every editor's different. Kate is phenomenal. Like you said, I'm like, you're never leaving me. You were
yeah,
mine forever.
yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah, and you know, it's you just touched on a really important point. That's also why it's so important for us to understand what readers would respond to our series because again, not every reader is going to like our books. Um, for example, I've noticed romantasy, and I'm talking hardcore romantasy girlies. I'm not talking about like I read romantasy, but I also read other subgenres of fantasy because I usually stick within that realm. So hardcore romantasy girlies are typically not going to love the rule of the damned because while I have romance subplots, I can still remove the romance from my story and it would stand on its own, which is not what a romantasy girly looks for. Now, the girls that look for the more dark fantasy stories, they're like, pick me. That's my vibe. So it's so interesting because to go back to your point about the beta reader, one beta reader can say this, another reader can say this. And as us as authors, we actually have to take a step back and be like, okay, well, which one's closest to my reader type? Because that's going to be the direction I should really go.
Yeah. So I love it.
I have a little bit of a fun question for you. You have to build your own adventure party. Which one or more of your characters would you recruit to join you and why?
Okay. So Nash was top of the list. Nash is, gosh, he's my freaking favorite. And he came out of left field. He came out of
Yeah,
nowhere. Um he's wily. He's super deadly and I feel like he could just add some fun
yeah,
to the group. And I would love Alana because I feel like she brings out the better side in him. She can poke the bear with him, but she also knows how to. He has a soft spot for her, so I think it's really fun to see that dynamic. And she kind of keeps him on his toes, and she
yeah,
surprises him too. So those
yeah.
two would be my favorites.
I love that. Now, I do ask every single guest this question. Name one fantasy book that you think deserves way more love from the Bookstagram community than it's been getting.
So, oh my gosh, Kate, and this is like how busy I've been because I've
Yeah.
I've had to do like audiobooks and I've chosen contemporary romance for
Okay.
audiobooks.
Okay.
So the fantasy book that I've read that I've actually like I'm floored it's not been picked up by trad author or because it's so good. It's Through Legends They Fall by Rachel Pendley. Have you
Yeah.
read it?
No, it's on my
Okay.
TBR. I knew
It
exactly which book you're talking about.
it
Yeah.
is so good. And I'm like not into horror. That's like typically not my genre, but like I feel like it's
Okay.
it's fantasy, definitely
Yeah.
fantasy. The monster element in it is like the horror element, but it is good. Like, and it is exciting. So, and
Yeah.
she is so descriptive in her words.
Yeah.
She's gifted, and I keep telling her like this is amazing because
Yeah.
when you're reading it, you can picture it because she's described it so
Yeah.
well
Yeah.
and you know exactly what's going on, you know exactly what's happening because of that. And there's still room for surprises. There's crap happening that I'm like, where did that come from? And she's amazing. But that's one I feel like hands down needs more people. And people I think won't read it because it's like horror. Read
Yeah.
it. Read it anyways. The first like it was exciting. The first little I think the prequel or the kind of like
Yeah.
the teaser at the beginning, so damn good. Like so freaking good. And it like freaked me out in a good way, but then she like starts into it. Oh, so
Yeah.
that one I rave about it because it's freaking good.
So I will tell you that horror is definitely getting its, I almost want to say, moment, because we're starting to see more gothic slash horror elements coming in the fantasy. Because how many times can you do trials and arranged marriage and romantasy? Like, again, don't get me wrong. Like I said in podcast episodes before, I'm a basic bitch. Okay. I am not denying that. But at some point we need to change it up a little bit. And I think this is why horror is starting to get its moment. I mean, the most popular example that I want to reference recently is Anathema by Kerry Lake. Um, I wouldn't say that was a straight out horror. It's more a fantasy that had horror elements.
Mm.
And let me tell you, some of those descriptions, I was reading alone at night, and I was like, I'm going to turn the light on because, like, I can just imagine something like scurrying up the wall. Like, I'm not going to sleep now.
Like, nope, not today, not today. Well,
Yeah,
the
just
funny thing is in Rachel's book,
yeah,
this monster, I don't want to give it away, but the location of where they were at, I took my book with me backpacking, and every pound is precious, but I dragged this book with me backpacking, and I read
yeah.
it while my husband was fishing, and you're by water, and I'm reading about this same area with the monster, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? But I couldn't put it down. It was so good.
Yeah, wow. Okay, that must be quite an experience. Before we wrap up this episode, I do want to ask if someone's listening to this episode and they think, I love what Jen's vibing with, why don't you give us a little bit of a sneak peek of what we can expect from you next in your author career?
Ooh, so I have some really fun books coming up. I have the last and final series or book in my series, Veiled Captive.
Yeah.
That one's coming out, and I know that I'm the same way. I don't like starting a series unless like all of the books are out. So that's another reason why I'm trying to rush to get it done. And I have a Mafia contemporary romance coming out after that. And I have 4 contemporary romances that I could pick from, or I could do another fantasy series that is just fun. So,
Follow-up
lots.
question. Why? So I have seen a lot of fantasy authors tend to, I almost want to say, dabble in genres. The most famous example I can reference is Karina Hale. So she's a hybrid author, but I do believe she got her start as an indie. Okay. And she dabbles in fantasy and romance. In your opinion, why do you think that is? Like, do you just need the break from fantasy, or where does your head go with something like that?
Yeah, I do. I feel like I'm the type of person I love different things. I love variety. That's kind of what is the spice of life. And the same thing with my reading. I love reading a fantasy, but I also love reading a contemporary romance. I kind of go back and forth between the two. And so the same thing applies to my books and my writing. I love Lord of the Rings. I love Jurassic Park. I love, any movie on Netflix by the Coen brothers, just anything fun. So
Okay, that makes sense. Jen, if again listeners they're listening to this episode, they're vibing with you, they want to get in contact with you, where is the best place to do this, and what is the best way to support your writing journey?
So the best way to get a hold of me is on Instagram. That's where I spend pretty much 100% of my time. And my Instagram handle's Jennifer Maughn Author. And my books are Veiled Voyage and Veiled War that are out now on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. And they are also on my website if you want them signed. And I have hard copies available on my website as well. In fact, I'm ordering more. And I also have sprayed edges, and they're beautiful.
I will pop your handle into the episode description just so that if anyone wants to connect with you, they can do so easily. On that note, thank you. This has been a ball of a time, and you will officially be the second episode of season 2, just FYI.
Awesome.
So that's really fun. I can't believe we're actually like recording in season 2 already. It's the fucking wildest thing for me. But Jen, it has been an absolute ball of a time having you here. Thank you for joining. Thank you for having such a great chat with me. And I cannot wait to see your next release.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie. I'm excited. It'll be fun to see how everyone reacts to it. So, because it's everything's just coming together. And that's why I'm a little bit freaked out with writing it.
Yeah, it's I finished 2 series now. I'm writing it, not reading it. And let me tell you, ending a series is hard. And if there's anything I have learned, I prioritize closure, which looks different for everyone, over a happy ending. But again, I don't write romantasy, so I can say that quite easily. Because I know with romantasy, the rule is there has to be a happy ending.
Yes. And there will be a happy ending. And then there will be an open ending for a few more, because I might come back. And revisit a few more characters. We'll just see.
I have been dying to write a series that has that in it, where you have got like spin-offs and novellas and everything. Finally, I have a series where I've got that, and I'm so stoked. But anyway, I need to get going. So thank you. Cool. Thank you, my friend. We'll chat soon.
Okay, you too. See you.
Bye.